Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Jeremy Housel, and what I'd like to share with you today is how to avoid poor form while weight training or performing any resistance training exercise for that matter. And the reason for this is because this is the biggest mistake that you will see people making while working out inside of a gym. So I'm going to share with you the biggest mistake that people are making that's causing them to use poor form, how to determine an appropriate amount of weight to use during your resistance training, and why correct form needs to be your #1 priority when you're inside the gym training or wherever you're training. Alright, so the first thing I want to cover is why so many people are using poor form inside the gym. And the reason that so many people are using poor form inside the gym is because they're using a thought process that is completely backwards. What you'll see oftentimes in a major gym is someone who's going to walk up to the machine and they're just going to pick the weight they think they can do, and then they let that determine their form, and then they let that determine the number of reps that they can perform, versus doing the complete opposite, which you should be doing, and that is first focusing on form and making sure that you can complete each rep with perfect form, and then letting that dictate the number of reps that you're doing, and then let that dictate the amount of weight that you're doing as well. So, for example, a common scene that you'll see inside of a big chain gym is, a male walking up to a bench press and throwing a 45-pound plate on the bar simply because they believe that that's the weight that they should be lifting. However, if you watch this person perform the bench press, you oftentimes will see the bar bouncing off the chest, doing partial reps, throwing their hips up in the air, which, in some programs that could be correct technique, but for the most part, especially if you're looking just to get healthy, that's incorrect technique. And so, again, what you want to focus on is perfecting each rep, and then let that determine the number of reps that you do, and then adjust your weight accordingly from there. So, if you are, bouncing the bar off the chest, throwing the hips up in the air, it's simply because you're using too much weight, or you're trying to do too much work with that weight, or do too many reps at that weight for your given level. So next time that you are training inside the gym, make sure that you're very conscious of this, and be sure to perfect each rep first, and then let that dictate the number of reps that you complete each set, and then adjust the weight accordingly, versus doing it completely backwards like you will see 9 times out of 10 in any major chain gym. Alright, so next I want to share with you how to determine if you're using an appropriate amount of weight for your resistance training or weight training exercises. And the easiest way to determine if you're using an appropriate amount of weight is that you should be able to feel like you could complete 1 to 2 more reps at the end of each set, and this will ensure good form. So if at the end of each set, you can do 1 to 2 more reps, this means you'll be able to maintain proper form throughout the entire duration of that set, and that needs to be a primary focus of yours. So, for example, going back to the bench press, if you have 100 pounds on the barbell and you can complete 14 or 15 reps, but you really only want to complete 10 reps, then chances are that weight's a little bit too light for you, and for your next set you're going to want to add a little additional resistance to that next training set. And vice versa, on the other hand, if you only do 6 to 8 reps, but you want to complete 10 reps with that 100 pounds on the barbell, then you're going to want to take off a little bit of weight so you can complete that full set of 10 with perfect form. So the bottom line is, the easiest way to tell if you're using the proper amount of resistance on each set is you should feel like you could do 1 to 2 more reps at the end of each set with perfect form. And again, this will prevent against an overtraining effect and help prevent against a detraining effect from using too little of weight. Okay, so the last thing I want to cover is why you need to make proper form your top priority each trip to the gym or wherever you're training. And that's simply because it's going to keep you safe. It's going to keep you injury free. When you train with improper form, it leads to a lot of stress on your joints and ligaments, which then in turn, it's really only a matter of time before you start developing some aches and some pains from your workout routine. So, for example, if you look at someone who does squats all the time with a rounded back, they're putting a lot of excessive pressure on the lower lumbar spine, and this is why eventually they start developing back problems most of the time. So in order to keep that back safe, that person would need to adjust by keeping their spine straight as they squat down. So proper form is key to keeping your workout safe. And this is why, with a lot of first-time clients that I see, that I'll hold them to a lot of body weight training exercises so they can become aware of their body, have time to develop technique and form in order to keep the workout safe as we progress on down the road. So, I'm Jeremy Housel. Hopefully you enjoyed this video on how to avoid bad form and apply some of the stuff that you learned from here and keep those workouts safe.